The Galactic Accord, the morning that changed humanity forever, began like any other. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of Lunar Station, watching Earth rotate slowly beneath her. The blue marble had never looked more beautiful. Or more vulnerable. In 3 hours, representatives from the Galactic Confederation would arrive to formally welcome humanity into the largest alliance of civilizations in the known galaxy. Elena had been chosen to represent Earth's military during the historic ceremony. At 38, she was the youngest person ever to command Earth's orbital defense network. Her dark hair was pulled back in regulation style, and her pressed uniform bore the insignia of a species about to join something magnificent. Yet something in her gut warned her that this moment would change everything in ways they couldn't imagine. The first alien ship materialized in Earth's orbit without warning. One moment the space around Lunar Station was empty, and the next, a vessel the size of a small city hung motionless against the stars. Its surface was smooth and silver, reflecting Earth's light like a mirror. No human technology could have created such a thing. Magnificent, isn't it? Admiral Sarah Brooks joined Elena at the viewport. The older woman's grey eyes held a mixture of wonder and concern that Elena recognized in her own reflection. Faster than light travel, energy manipulation. Beyond our understanding, medical technology that could eliminate disease entirely. And they are willing to share all of this with us, Elena replied, though her voice carried a note of skepticism. What's the price, Admiral? Sarah's expression darkened slightly. That's what we are about to find out. The Confederation representatives were unlike anything humanity had imagined. The lead diplomat, Ambassador Thexnari, stood 7 feet tall with crystalline skin that shifted colors as he spoke. His voice resonated with harmonics that seemed to bypass the ears and speak directly to the mind. Beside him stood beings from a dozen different worlds, each more alien than the last. People of Earth, Thexnari began, his words translated by technology beyond human comprehension. Today marks your species' graduation from isolation to cosmic citizenship. The Galactic Confederation welcomes you with open hearts and extended hands. The ceremony took place in the United Nations building in New York. World leaders from every nation sat in stunned silence as Thexnari outlined the benefits of membership. Technology that would end hunger, cure aging, and open the stars to human exploration. All they had to do was sign the Galactic Accord. Elena sat in the military observer section, studying the document as it was presented. Most of it was exactly what they had hoped for. Shared knowledge, trade agreements, protection from cosmic threats. But buried in the subsections, written in language so complex it took her enhanced translator several attempts to parse, was the clause that made her blood run cold. All member species at development level 4 and below are prohibited from constructing, maintaining, or operating military vessels capable of interstellar travel or equipped with weapons systems above Class 2 designation, she read quietly to herself. All defensive needs will be met by Confederation Defense Forces. Admiral Brooks leaned over. You found it too. They are disarming us, Elena whispered. Completely. For our own good, they say. Humanity is too young, too aggressive. We need time to mature before we can be trusted with advanced weapons. Elena watched as Earth's leaders signed the document one by one, their faces glowing with hope and excitement. None of them seemed to understand what they were giving up. Earth's small but growing fleet of defensive vessels would have to be decommissioned. The orbital defense platforms would be dismantled. Humanity would become completely dependent on alien protection. What happens if their protection fails? Elena asked. Sarah's grim smile told her everything she needed to know. 6 months later, Elena stood in the ruins of Harmony Colony, humanity's first settlement beyond the solar system. The mining outpost on Kepler 442b had been home to 3,000 colonists. Now it was a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered dreams. Pirates, explained Commander Jake Morrison, the colony's defense coordinator. His face was streaked with soot, and his left arm hung in a makeshift sling. Came out of nowhere. 3 ships, well-armed, professional operation. They knew exactly what they were looking for and where to find it. Elena surveyed the devastation. Entire sections of the colony had been vaporized by weapons far more advanced than anything Earth had been allowed to keep. The central habitat dome lay in ruins, its transparent aluminum walls scattered like deadly confetti across the settlement's main plaza. Where was Confederation protection? She demanded. Jake's laugh was bitter. 6 hours away. By the time they arrived, the pirates were long gone with everything valuable. Medical supplies, rare earth elements, and... His voice broke. 47 colonists. Slaves, Elena said quietly. The word hung in the air like a curse. The Confederation says they are investigating. They promise better patrol coverage. But this is the 4th attack on human settlements this year, and their response time keeps getting worse. Elena activated her personal communicator, switching to a secure military channel. Admiral Brooks, this is Captain Rodriguez. We need to talk immediately. The meeting took place in an abandoned mining facility in the asteroid belt. Elena arrived first, her shuttle stealth systems masking her approach from Confederation sensors. One by one, other vessels arrived. Admiral Brooks in her personal courier. Dr. Marcus Chen in a retrofitted research ship. A dozen other military officers and civilian leaders who had grown tired of watching their people die while aliens made excuses. The situation is deteriorating rapidly, Admiral Brooks began without preamble. 7 attacks in the past 4 months. The Confederation claims their forces are stretched thin, but we know better. Their ships patrol alien settlements just fine. It's only human colonies that seem to fall through the cracks. Dr. Chen, Earth's foremost expert in alien technology, stood to address the group. The elderly scientists usually need appearance. Was disheveled, his grey hair wild from too many sleepless nights. I've been analyzing the wreckage from the attacks. The weapons used against our colonies are definitely not pirate technology. They are military grade, possibly Confederation surplus. Are you saying the Confederation is arming the pirates? Elena asked. I'm saying someone with access to advanced military technology is equipping them. Whether that's official policy or black market corruption, the result is the same. Our people are being murdered with weapons we are not allowed to defend against. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally, Elena spoke up. What if we weren't defenseless? Admiral Brooks raised an eyebrow. Explain. The Accord prohibits us from building military vessels. But what exactly constitutes a military vessel? The language is vague enough to allow interpretation. Dr. Chen's eyes lit up with understanding. Emergency response ships. Search and rescue vessels. Colony defense platforms. Exactly. We can't build warships, but we can build heavily armed and armored civilian vessels designed to protect our people from cosmic hazards. Elena's voice grew stronger as the plan took shape in her mind. What's more dangerous than pirates? Admiral Brooks nodded slowly. It would have to be completely secret. If the Confederation discovers what we are doing, then we make sure they don't discover it until it's too late to stop us. The project began immediately. Using the abandoned mining facility as their base of operations, the group began construction of humanity's first forbidden warship. They called it the Defiance, and it was beautiful in its deadly purpose. Dr. Chen had outdone himself. The ship looked like nothing more than an oversized rescue vessel from the outside, its hull painted in the bright orange and white of civilian emergency services. But beneath that innocent exterior lay the heart of a predator. Fusion engines. Capable of speeds that would shame most alien patrol craft. Energy shields strong enough to survive a direct hit from a Confederation destroyer. And weapon systems that, while technically classified as asteroid-clearing equipment and debris removal tools, could reduce a pirate vessel to component atoms in seconds. Elena stood on the bridge as the Defiance completed its first test flight. Commander Morrison sat in the pilot's seat, his hands steady on the controls despite the magnitude of what they were attempting. Around them, displays showed the ship's systems running perfectly, every component functioning beyond specifications. How does she handle? Elena asked. Jake's grin was the first genuine smile she'd seen from him since Harmony Colony. Like a dream. The Defiance could outrun and outfight anything the pirates have thrown at us. Hell, she could probably take on a Confederation patrol ship if it came to that. Elena nodded, but her expression remained serious. Let's hope it never comes to that. We are walking a very thin line here. One mistake, one moment of detection, and we'll all be spending the rest of our lives in a Confederation prison. Better than watching our people die while we do nothing, Jake replied. 2 weeks later, their resolve was tested. The emergency signal came from New Terra, humanity's largest colony world. 8 ships had emerged from hyperspace and were attacking the orbital platforms. Unlike previous raids, this wasn't a quick strike for supplies and slaves. This was a full-scale assault intended to cripple the colony entirely. Elena stood on the bridge of the Defiance as they approached New Terra at maximum speed. Through the view screen, she could see the battle raging around the planet. The colony's few defensive platforms were already burning wrecks, and the civilian evacuation ships were sitting ducks for the attackers. Confederation response time? She asked. 14 hours at their best speed, came the reply from the communications officer. 14 hours. By then, there won't be a colony left to save. Elena made the decision that would change the course of human history. All stations, this is Captain Rodriguez. Prepare for combat. We are going in. The Defiance dropped out of hyperspace like an avenging angel. The pirate ships, focused on their systematic destruction of the colony, never saw her coming. Elena's first target was the largest raider, a converted cruiser that was bombarding the civilian shelters on the planet's surface. Target their engines, she ordered. Disable, don't destroy. I want answers. The Defiance's main weapon, officially designated as a Type 7 mining laser, struck the pirate cruiser with surgical precision. The enemy ship's drive systems exploded in a cascade of brilliant energy, leaving it drifting helplessly in space. The other raiders finally noticed the new arrival. 3 of them broke off their attack on the colony and turned toward the Defiance, their weapons charging for battle. Multiple targeting locks, reported the tactical officer. They are treating us as a threat. Then let's be worthy of their concern, Elena replied calmly. All weapons, free fire. Show them what human engineering can accomplish. Defiance and victory. The battle for New Terra lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it was over, 6 pirate ships drifted powerless in space, their crews either dead or surrendering. The 7th had managed to escape into hyperspace, but not before the Defiance's sensors had recorded its energy signature and flight path. Elena stood in the middle of organized chaos as her crew worked to coordinate rescue operations with the surviving colonial authorities. The planet's orbital infrastructure was damaged but salvageable. More importantly, the population was safe. For the first time since joining the Galactic Confederation, a human colony had successfully defended itself. Captain, Commander Morrison approached with a grim expression. We've got incoming. Elena looked at the tactical display and felt her heart sink. A Confederation patrol fleet had just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. 3 heavy cruisers and a command vessel, more than enough firepower to reduce the Defiance to cosmic dust. They arrived awfully quickly, Elena observed. Almost like they were already on their way. The communication panel chimed with an incoming transmission. Elena accepted the signal, and the bridge's main screen filled with the image of a being she didn't recognize. This alien was smaller than most Confederation species, with pale blue skin and large, multifaceted eyes that seemed to see everything at once. Human vessel, the alien spoke in accented standard. This is Patrol Commander Zixthara of the Confederation Defense Force. You are operating an unregistered military vessel in violation of the Galactic Accord. Prepare to be boarded. Elena stepped forward, her spine straight and her voice clear. Commander Zixthara, this is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the emergency response vessel Defiance. We were conducting rescue operations for the human colony under attack by pirates. Our actions were entirely within the scope of colonial defense protocols. Zixthara's compound eyes focused on her with unsettling intensity. Your vessel displays military-grade weapons and shielding systems prohibited under the Accord. These capabilities far exceed what is permitted for emergency response operations. Our people were dying while Confederation forces were 14 hours away, Elena replied firmly. We built what was necessary to protect them. Nothing more, nothing less. There was a long pause as Zixthara seemed to consider her words. Finally, the alien commander spoke again. Captain Rodriguez, I am ordering you to surrender your vessel for inspection. Any resistance will be met with force. Elena looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. These were good people who had risked everything to protect their fellow humans. They deserved better than to be treated as criminals for refusing to let their families die. Commander Zixthara, she said quietly, with respect, no. The silence that followed seemed to stretch for eternity. Elena could see her tactical officers' hands hovering over the weapons controls, ready to fight if necessary. But fighting Confederation forces would mean war, and humanity wasn't ready for that. Not yet. Captain Rodriguez, Zixthara's voice carried a note of something Elena couldn't identify. Surprise. Respect. Are you refusing a direct order from a Confederation commander? I'm protecting my people, Elena replied. Just as you would protect yours. Another pause. Then, to Elena's amazement, something that might have been a smile crossed the alien's features. Captain, I am coming aboard your vessel. Alone and unarmed. I believe we need to have a conversation. 20 minutes later, Elena sat across from Zixthara in the Defiance's small conference room. Up close, the Confederation commander was even more alien than she had appeared on screen. Her skin had an almost crystalline quality, and her movements were precise and economical in a way that suggested either cybernetic enhancement or a species that had evolved for perfect efficiency. You built this ship in secret, Zixthara stated. It wasn't a question. We built what we needed to survive, Elena replied. The Accord specifically prohibits military vessels for species at your development level. The Accord promises protection that never arrives in time to matter. Zixthara was quiet for a moment, her alien features unreadable. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. You are not the first species to face this dilemma, Captain Rodriguez. The Confederation has existed for millennia, encompassing thousands of worlds and species. The Accord exists because younger civilizations have a tendency towards self-destruction when given advanced weapons too quickly. Elena leaned forward. And how many of those civilizations were allowed to die while waiting for protection that never came? Asterisk. More than I care to count, Zixthara admitted. The system is not perfect. Political considerations sometimes override practical ones. Some species receive better protection than others based on factors that have nothing to do with need. Elena felt a spark of hope. You're saying the protection failures aren't accidental. I am saying that the galaxy is a large place and resources must be allocated based on priority. Human settlements are new, remote, and economically insignificant compared to established worlds. Your distress calls are answered when convenient. The alien commander stood and walked to the viewport, gazing out at the stars. I have been a patrol commander for 47 years, Captain. I have seen the best and worst of what the Confederation represents. And I have seen what happens when good beings are forced to choose between following unjust laws and protecting their families. Elena remained silent, sensing that Zixthara was working through something important. Your ship is impressive, the alien continued. Your crew fought with skill and courage. You defeated a superior force while minimizing casualties and protecting innocent lives. These are not the actions of a species too immature for military responsibility. Elena stood as well, joining Zixthara at the viewport. What are you saying? I am saying that my report will indicate that the human vessel Defiance is a heavily armed emergency response ship operating within acceptable parameters for colonial defense. The weapon systems, while powerful, are clearly intended for protection rather than aggression. The crew demonstrated exemplary judgment and restraint in combat. Elena's eyes widened. You're covering for us. I am recognizing that the Accord's restrictions on your species may be outdated, Zixthara corrected. But Captain, understand this, you have opened a door that cannot be closed. Other Confederation members will hear about this incident. Some will demand stricter enforcement of the Accord. Others will begin to question whether humanity deserves different treatment. Elena nodded gravely. We understand the risks. But we won't stand by and watch our people die while bureaucrats debate our worthiness. Zixthara turned from the viewport, her compound eyes reflecting the starlight. Then you had better be prepared for what comes next. Word of this will spread throughout human space. Other colonies will want ships like the Defiance. Earth's government will face pressure to officially recognize your actions or condemn them. What would you do in our position? Elena asked. The alien commander was quiet for a long moment. I would build more ships, she said finally. And I would make sure they were ready when the real test comes. 3 months later, Elena stood on the bridge of the newest addition to humanity's growing fleet. The ship was larger than the Defiance, more heavily armed, and crewed by volunteers from across human space. They called her the Indomitable, and she was one of 12 vessels now operating in what had become known as the Human Defense Force. The Confederation had officially protested the existence of the fleet, but their objections had grown increasingly half-hearted. Especially after the Defiance and her sister ships had prevented 3 more major attacks on human colonies, saving thousands of lives that would otherwise have been lost waiting for distant Confederation patrols. Dr. Chen approached with his latest report. The elderly scientist looked years younger than he had at the beginning of their rebellion. Purpose, Elena reflected, was better than any medical treatment. The Kepler shipyard is ahead of schedule, he announced. We'll have 4 more vessels ready for deployment within the month. The colonial governments are providing more support than we ever hoped for. Elena nodded, but her attention was focused on the tactical display. Intelligence reports suggested that a major pirate fleet was massing in the Outer Rim, possibly preparing for a coordinated assault on multiple human worlds. Any word from our Confederation contacts? She asked. Dr. Chen's smile was knowing. Commander Zixthara sent an encrypted message through back channels. The Confederation Council is deadlocked on how to respond to our fleet. The hardliners want to force compliance with the original accord, but too many member species are asking why humans should be held to restrictions that clearly don't serve their survival needs. And the moderates? They are proposing a formal review of humanity's development status. If it passes, the restrictions on our military capabilities would be lifted entirely. Elena felt a surge of cautious optimism. Timeline: 6 months for the review process. But Elena, there's something else. The pirate activity we've been tracking. It's not random. Someone is coordinating these attacks, providing intelligence and advanced weapons to raiders specifically targeting human settlements. Elena's expression hardened. Any idea who? Working theory is that it's a faction within the Confederation itself. Species that oppose human advancement and want to prove we are too dangerous for full membership. The implications were staggering. If elements within the Confederation were actively sabotaging human colonies to prove a political point, then everything humanity had believed about their alien allies was wrong. Captain, the communications officer called out urgently. Priority signal from New Terra. It's an emergency. Elena moved to the communication station. Put it through. The face that appeared on screen belonged to Governor Marcus Webb, the civilian administrator of New Terra Colony. His usual calm demeanor was gone, replaced by barely controlled panic. Elena, thank God. We are tracking a massive fleet heading our way. At least 20 ships, some of them as large as Confederation cruisers. Our sensors estimate they'll be here in 6 hours. Elena felt the familiar cold focus that came with imminent battle. Military composition. Mixed. Some are definitely pirate vessels we've encountered before, but others are unknown configurations. Elena, this isn't another raid. This is an invasion force. Elena turned to her crew. All stations, prepare for emergency departure. Signal the rest of the fleet to converge on New Terra immediately. She looked back at the screen. Governor. Begin immediate evacuation of non-essential personnel. We are on our way. As the Indomitable and her sister ships raced toward New Terra at maximum speed, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that this was exactly what their enemies had been hoping for. A battle so large that humanity's small fleet would be overwhelmed, proving once and for all that humans were too weak to defend themselves. But as she watched the determined faces of her crew preparing for the fight of their lives, Elena smiled grimly. Their enemies were about to learn what happened when you cornered a species that had clawed its way to the stars against impossible odds. Humanity was done being anyone's victim. Today, they would prove they belonged among the stars as equals, not as protected children. The real war for humanity's future was about to begin. The Human Defense Force dropped out of hyperspace at New Terra to find the colony already under siege. The attacking fleet was even larger than intelligence had suggested, nearly 30 vessels arranged in a complex battle formation that spoke of military precision rather than pirate opportunism. Elena stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, studying the tactical display with growing concern. Analysis, she ordered. Multiple ship classes, some I don't recognize, reported Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kim, the tactical officer. But Captain, look at this formation. This isn't pirate tactics. This is a coordinated military assault. Elena nodded grimly. Signal the fleet. We are outnumbered 3-1, but we have advantages they don't expect. Our ships are faster and more maneuverable than they know. We use that. The battle for New Terra became the defining moment of human independence. For 6 hours, 12 human ships fought against overwhelming odds, using tactics and technology that surprised their enemies at every turn. The Human Defense Force didn't just survive the encounter, they won decisively, capturing or destroying the entire attacking fleet. In the aftermath, as rescue ships from across human space converged on New Terra, Elena received an unexpected communication. The signal came directly from the Confederation capital world, bearing the seal of the High Council itself. Captain Rodriguez, the message began, delivered by an alien she recognized as one of the most senior members of the Confederation government. Your actions at New Terra have been observed and evaluated. The courage, skill, and restraint shown by human forces in the face of overwhelming odds has impressed even our most conservative members. Asterisk. Elena listened in stunned silence as the official continued. The Confederation Council has voted to immediately lift all military restrictions on humanity. Your species has proven beyond doubt that you are ready for full membership and the responsibilities that come with it. The message concluded with formal recognition of the Human Defense Force as a legitimate military organization and an invitation for humanity to participate as equals in Confederation defense planning. Elena sat back in her command chair, hardly able to believe what she had heard. Around her, the bridge crew erupted in cheers and celebration. Humanity had won more than a battle, they had won their freedom to defend themselves and their place as equals among the stars. As the Indomitable set course for Earth, Elena reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. They had been forbidden to build warships, but they had built them anyway. They had been told they were too young, too aggressive, too dangerous to be trusted with advanced weapons. But when their people were threatened, they had proven that courage and determination mattered more than age or approval. Humanity had defied the galaxy's expectations and earned their place among the stars not through permission, but through action. The age of protection was over. The age of human independence had begun.